The camera is like a friend to whom documentary subject Brandy Burry confides during a turbulent period in her life, an actress. Best known from a role on The Wire, Burry is in the midst of seeing her relationship fail and struggling to return to a profession she gave up to focus on family. The performative aspect about her in a nonfiction setting raises the question of if the various roles she fulfills in off-screen life are parts to be played according to what others assign her. The film is at its most powerful when mulling how being a woman can be just as limiting in determining her future as getting typecast within the industry. The documentary The Overnighters considers the saying, "There but for the grace of God go I," as it follows a North Dakota pastor giving everything he has to assist the men flocking to his town in search of oil rigging jobs. People in Williston and within his own congregation push back against his program, which provides shelter in the church and its parking lot. The well-paying work attracts desperate men, often with criminal backgrounds. The Overnighters studies the tension between Christianity in theory versus its application, something that proves to be especially difficult because the locals have justifiable concerns. Giving second chances proves to be a bigger challenge than simply proclaiming belief in the value of charity and forgiveness. As the film based on his memoir demonstrates, film critic Roger Ebert lived a life that seemed like one colorful story after another. In life itself, Steve James presents an admiring portrait of a man who loved movies and the broader thing laid out in the title, while dodging the pitfall of being worshipful to a fault. Ebert had many experiences that make for entertaining fodder for viewers, but the greater lesson is that anyone's life tales can also seem grand with the proper telling. Life itself leaves the impression that a rich time on earth isn't concerned so much with what it brings us, but how we choose to perceive it. In A Most Violent Year, Oscar Isaac excels as a heating oil company owner who believes in his own hard work and good luck. Jessica Chastain is fierce as the Brooklyn gangster's daughter who helps her husband to believe his self-made success story. Often shot in low light, J.C. Chandor's critique of capitalism and the political system has a keen eye to detect what happens in the shadows. The paranoid thriller Night Moves observes how one can be seduced into extremism through gradual exposure when otherwise such behavior would seem out of the question to most rational people. Three environmentalists plot to blow up the Green Peter Dam, but despite the unconscionable deed they intend to carry out, director and co-writer Kelly Reichardt makes the audience feel somehow complicit by virtue of watching and following them. Jesse Eisenberg is terrifying as a sensitive sort whose unthreatening appearance belies a radical's intensity and danger. In Whiplash, J.K. Simmons is devilishly appealing as he berates young adults for no good reason other than his misguided sense of how to get them to fulfill their talent. He's an exacting monster, and one whose dark charisma allows him to get away with the kind of behavior that would otherwise be considered impermissible. Whiplash isn't a bad teacher movie, though, so much as it's about the madness in the pursuit for perfection. Beyond the rehearsal space and stage, the stakes are not as high as those in them realize, but as the pupil begs to be kept in this cage, it's as thrilling as if the fate of the world rests upon what transpires there. Selma is a riveting dramatization of the workings involved in a pivotal civil rights demonstration in Alabama. Although Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. holds a highly important role as a leader, director Ava DuVernay captures the scope of the movement and the internal disagreements that come when trying to unify so many people through common action. David Oyelowo is charismatic as MLK, but the greatest feat in his performance is revealing the flesh and blood person that often can get lost when history has sanded off the rough edges. Jimmy P. Psychotherapy of a Plains Indian spots the beauty of two people in pain talking to fix their wounds, based on the real story of a Blackfoot Native American World War II veteran and the French anthropologist and psychoanalyst treating him. Jimmy P. features fine lead performances from Benicio del Toro and Mathieu Amalric. Director Arnaud Desplechin employs the occasional visual flourish to manifest Jimmy's psychological disturbances. While it's a great-looking film, pleasure derives from how Desplechin and his co-writers trace the process and listen to these characters converse. What If bears some natural comparisons to When Harry Met Sally, but the issue here is less a question of if men and women can just be friends, but how to be friends when romantic love is felt but must be suppressed. Daniel Radcliffe and Zoe Kazan's characters are fundamentally decent and compatible people who, in different circumstances, may have become a happy couple in no time flat. As it stands, their timing is inopportune, with one committed and the other adamant about not scheming to split them up. What If generally resists romantic comedy machinations, although when it succumbs, the developments and actions appear mostly true to the characters. In Like Father, Like Son, writer-director Hirokazu Koreeda tracks two sets of parents in an unimaginable situation. 6 years after the fact, they learn that due to a hospital mix-up, the son each couple has raised is the biological child of the other pair. Koreeda's body of work reveals him to be a keen and non-judgmental observer of people, and the film finds him watching as the parents become subtly unwound as the decision of whether to trade kids weighs on them. Like Father, Like Son exerts strong tugs on the heartstrings as it details circumstances with no easy or satisfactory resolution. At first glance, The Amazing Catfish appears as though it might be an exasperating, quirky for the sake of being quirky festival film. A forlorn young Mexican woman finds the family she lacks when a terminally ill patient she meets at the hospital welcomes her into her home. Through the sharp use of spatial relationships, first-time feature writer-director Claudia St. Luce turns this contrived scenario into a sensitive and achingly beautiful portrait of loneliness and empathy. The Strange Little Cat delivers an exquisite snapshot of daily family life full of vitality, humor, and traces of wistfulness. The wisp of a story in Ramon Zerker's funny and inventive debut film isn't of particular interest. Rather, it's his unconventional pairing of sound and images, and nimbleness working within a small space to reveal the character of a German family. A Summer's Tale was first released in 1996, so in that sense it doesn't belong on a list recognizing the notable films of 2014. Still, it didn't find U.S. theatrical distribution until 18 years after its French premiere. The film luxuriates in the dialogue between the young and beautiful as they express conceptions of romantic relationships while stumbling through them.